I think we'll start the webinar right now, and I want to welcome you to this webinar where we will talk about our customer Fujifilm Diosynth Biotechnologies move of their SAP S/4HANA landscape to RISE with SAP Private Cloud Edition. Moving further, I will address Fujifilm as FDB. And you are welcome to post questions during the webinar. And in the end, we will have a Q&A session where we will answer the questions of the webinar. And you will find the Q&A. I mean, if you're looking at your webinar screen, you should have like a chat, and you should also have a Q&A button in the bottom of your screen. And there you can post questions. I also want to inform you that the webinar will be recorded. But just a short introduction is that FDB is a life science company that is a world-leading contract development and manufacturing partner for biologics, vaccines, and advanced therapies. With me from the FDB, I have Paulius Pakalniškis, Global Head of ERP and Enterprise Services. I also have Venkata Suresh Bandaru, Global Head SAP Technology, Security and Compliance. And also from Implema, Peter Viotti, who is the Business Area Manager for Technology. And my name is Katarina Sutrovitz, and I will be facilitating this webinar. And some background about the FDB SAP journey. Here we have, I mean, we started out, or FDB started out the SAP S/4HANA journey with the Greenfield implementation in Denmark in 2019. It was a very fast 6-month implementation. And then it was followed out by a rollout to a site in the UK and 3 sites in the United States. Parallel to this, it was also we also activated a new site in the United States that is under construction. So in other words, looking at the last couple of years, it has been a very, very intense scale-up period for the FDB, and also very intense from the IT side, rolling out SAP. But you also took, FDB also took the decision in 2022 to move the SAP landscape to the SAP private cloud, and that will be the topic of today. And I will start with asking you, Paulius, can you tell us about why you took the decision to move to the SAP private cloud? You need to unmute, I think.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Great to see so many people joining this webinar. So I hope that we will be able to share some insights which will help you, to decide or help in your SAP journey to the cloud, right? So why we considered RISE, right? So we have a very visionary leader, right, who wants to transform the industry with his with the Kojo X strategy, who is not familiar with the strategy, then in very simplified terms, we just need to be able to deliver and meet our customers' demands faster, right? So as we are growing, enormously and building and acquiring new facilities, and also have a cloud-first strategy, this led us to investigate, SAP private cloud as well, right? The other factor why, and the reason for that was to meet all that speed request from our business strategy, right? As we are working with our, partners whose main product is data. And what I mean by data is, we are manufacturing companies, so we have customers' bill of materials, we have processes, their processes in our systems. We needed to ensure that we are safe, right, and secure. And that's what we mean by removing all the external constraints, right? We selected Microsoft as our hosting partner, as their cybersecurity, department alone is half of the size, right, of our company. So that helped us, also to look, and ensure that our customer data is safe. The other area, why we wanted to go into the cloud was that we have an SAP, strategy internally, which we call it zero maintenance strategy, right? And why we want to spend zero time on maintaining the system is because we would like to focus on the system and, you know, on the capabilities of the system, which would help our leader to transform that industry with the, you know, with the new functionalities enabling, right? So all those, you know, or all where we are not great at, we should give to someone who is great at doing, right? And that was also one of the reasons why, you know, we thought, you know, SAP and SAP, you know, platform hosting, you know, is bread and butter for them, right? And also, you know, our industry, pharmaceuticals, is fairly complex industry, right? So we have a lot of regulations to adhere, you know, which also leads to certain, you know, staffing requirements even, right? So, which during these times, right? And I know everyone who is operating within SAP and knowing how hard it is to get the resources in-house, right? Was also one of the critical criteria for us, saying that SAP will have a more, you know, in-house, you know, knowledge as well, right, on the SAP system. So that was the why, right?
That seems to be a very clear and solid ground for taking the decision, and you have a very clear path what you want to be experts and what you want to outsource to the other experts, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But did you?
And I think also, just sorry for interrupting, I think that's everyone, you know, everyone who wants to embark this needs to have that, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But did you have to make any other considerations? I mean, this was like you had a clear goal, but you also probably needed to make some considerations to actually do this move.
Yeah, for sure, sure. And one of the main ones, and I don't think it's a secret, is costs, right? Mm. So sometimes, you know, we want to be a, you know, cloud, or we have a cloud first strategy in Fujifilm, right? But what we call it is cloud smart strategy, right? Do it when it's smart, when it makes sense, right? And that is primarily also related to the costs, right? Going to the cloud might be very expensive, so you also need to think about that, right? So also weigh the benefits you get and the cost that it comes, right? Also, you know, as you saw, as I mentioned, regulated industry in the why, right? That was also part of the, you know, of the considerations. Are we ready, you know, from ERP perspective to move to cloud, right? So again, as we need to adhere to a lot of regulatory, you know, requirements. But that was also fairly quickly cleared because SAP themselves had, you know, a division who supports, you know, regulated industries, right? So that helped us a bit as well, right? And maybe one of the soft, you know, considerations which we were, you know, thinking is that relationship, you know, we call it relationship management here, but relationship between us and SAP, right? Because we knew that the dynamics will change, right? We were, you know, the ways of working will change. We also be, you know, fairly, you know, small company operating and working together with a very large company, right? So all of these were, you know, on top of our minds, right? And, you know, no secret, before we were super supported by you know, you guys, Implema, and our system was hosted at your data centers, and we always got a great, you know, support, right? So that was also a bit of the, you know, worry for us initially, right? However, while considering all of this, and also in collaboration with SAP and you guys, it, you know, benefits overweighted the you know, the challenges, right, or the concerns. So, and that's what that's why we moved to, you know, to the SAP private cloud.
Thank you, Paulus. I just have, you're talking about the complex industry and the regulated industry, and you have mentioned security, but can you just a little bit, what were the other considerations? Is it, you are in life science, is the GXP? Did you have any other regulations to adhere to? If you give some examples, just.
Yeah, so, you know, ERP system as such is not, you know, pharmaceutical specific application, right? However, the management of it is, right? You know, that we need to have, you know, multi-tier environments. We need to ensure that we have very clear processes. How do we migrating the changes? We also working with the some of the governments which have additional requirements, meaning that, you know, the data can be seen by only those, you know, countries' citizens and managed by only those country citizens, right? And it goes all the way down to the database level, right? So that's also one of the things, right? Where, you know, for a company to have that internal capability might be fairly hard, right? So that's where SAP can help as well. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So with this, actually, I mean, with these the decision and the considerations, you were ready to take the next step for the actual planning and technical execution of the move. And Venkata, here I know that you have been like on top of this all the time. And can you tell us a little bit about what you needed to consider for the planning for the doing this move?
Sure. First, I welcome all. I hope you all having a good time over here. And thanks, Catherine and Polis, for your time now. But I think coming to the planning and execution, the key considerations which we need to talk or emphasize on the stakeholders, because this is key. When we started executing this project, the key stakeholders, which were Implema, as you know, they were already the hosting partners, and SAP and Fuji. So it is a key collaborative work between all the stakeholders. Need to understand why we are doing what we are doing and when we are doing this. And then I think as we worked on a project plan, we also had to focus on the key activities which needs to be executed with a clear vision on what we are doing. And then the methodology. I need to more focus on the methodology because SAP was holding our hand and driving this with an SAP Activate methodology, which has different stages, like discover stage where we identify the scope and objectives, prepare where we lay the groundwork, and then we also talk about the explore phase where we define the detailed scope and requirement planning. Realize phase is where we actually start all the technical activities, where we also cover the ramp down, ramp up activities, and deploy. This is where we actually execute the activities in the production system, and then run is an operational ongoing support and maintenance activities. So I think as part of the discover and prepare phase, we had continuous workshops with SAP and also with Implema to understand, plan the activities well in advance. And I think when we were working also on this, we were also getting used to the key activities which needs to be performed. This is more on the ramp down of the system, ramp up of the system, taking a backup transfer, import backup to target, post-migration checks, technical activities, transport system setup, post-migration checks, ramp up activities, testing, and also the final system release. It was a well collaborative work between Fujifilm, Diosynth Biotechnologies, Implema, and SAP.
Yeah, and so there was a lot of activities and a lot of planning. Peter, a question to you. I mean, in this collaboration, there was SAP on one end, and there was Fujifilm, and there was Implema. How did you see, from a partner perspective, what support we could give during this phase?
Well, as you know, when moving a system to RISE or to the private cloud edition, SAP will install an empty system and then wait for the partner to do the actual migration of the system. So this required us to do a lot of testing. So we started out with migrating a sandbox over to RISE just to test, and this we did very early. Just to have the time to make sure that we could try out everything that could affect the system. And I mean, moving an SAP system by itself is really, really easy. It's just a thing, you have the users that need to access the system and you have all the integrations that need to work as well. So from that perspective, it was a lot of testing and testing and more testing throughout the entire chain of events.
Yeah, and here you are now showing the actual execution phase, the realize phase that Venkat was talking about. So, and you mentioned that you started out with a sandbox, and then was really the practical move there. I don't know, Venkat, do you want to tell us a little bit about, I mean, the steps that you took for the actual move?
Yeah, I think I can talk on that. As mentioned with Peter, because it was, let me just go one step back. When we started this journey, Fujifilm was one of the first company to take this initiative to migrate to SAP private cloud. So it was new to everyone. SAP is also started a journey from a license perspective. It was new for Fujifilm and also for Implema, this journey. So to make ensure that we execute the realization phase in an right manner, we just wanted to ensure that we do things in the first thing right. So what we have done is we have taken proof of concept with taking a copy of the production to sandbox and then started executing that. Then I think we got a clear understanding of how things work. And then we started the journey. The system landscape from Fuji is we have a development box, quality box, which is a validator system, and the production box. So we started a journey, the actual journey from migrating the development box. When we went to the quality box, as mentioned, like Peter, testing, we took the opportunity of taking a copy of the production to the quality box. It's a system refresh. And then we have done the ramp down activities. And then we also did the migration of the quality system to the production system, to the private cloud. And then once we are familiar or clear, then we executed the production system migration.
And just a question, I mean, what time frame are we talking about here?
I think when we started this phase, the plan was 6 months. But then I think, having said that, we were very slow and very cautious because we don't wanted to ensure the operational activities are impacted. As mentioned by Paulius and by you, Katharina, when we started this journey in parallel, we were also executing the rollout plan for other sites. So we were very cautious when we were executing this plan. We ensured that the rollout plan is not impacted, because if that would have a major impact on the business strategies. So in general, I think it took us around 9 months, when it was the plan for 6 months, but then it took us 9 months to execute this plan.
Yes, and I also want to note that in the same time, in those six months, I mean, you were going live with 4 sites to S4HANA. So it was a quite busy 6 months, right?
Yes, it was a busy site, because it was one side, the technical activities and also the rollout and business were pretty much involved. It was, but then with all these considerations, and with a very good teamwork between all the stakeholders, it was a very good rollout of this migration activities.
But a question also, did you move the entire SAP landscape to cloud?
No, I think that's a valid question. And I think I'll say no. At this point of time, when we planned, we only focused on S4HANA, because S4HANA also has an integration with external and internal systems. Internal, when we talk about manufacturing systems, these systems are heart of the manufacturing industry, and we don't want to jeopardize the plan. So we first executed the S4HANA migration, wherein the middleware, which is PIPO from SAP, is still hosted by Implema. And I think on the long journey, for sure, I think we also want to ensure that all other integrated systems within SAP or for part of SAP would also be migrated to private cloud. In the near future, as mentioned by Paulius, cloud for strategy, we are focusing on business technology platform and also in-house of integration suite, where we migrate the PIPO to integration suite.
So
that's a near future journey.
So you are continuing to pursue the cloud strategy, and that is the end goal, that everything is in the cloud. But in the meantime, Peter, just a few words. It's a hybrid landscape. I mean, is there any challenges to that, or is everything running smoothly when you have some things at the SAP cloud and some things outside?
There's no problems at all having a hybrid environment, and as you look into the future, I think that most SAP environments will be some sort of hybrid environments, and since Implema is still monitoring the systems that are on-prem and also monitoring the systems that are on RISE, that still gives Fuji a one partner to come to have to help them with all their SAP needs.
And if we are moving forward a little bit, I mean, now you have been running. I mean, you did the move in June 2023, so now you have been running in the SAP Private Cloud for almost a year. What is your experience so far, and what are the key learnings from the journey and being in the run phase right now?
Let's talk about the experience. The first thing, it has almost been 1 year now. Yes, I think we'll be completing 1 year next month. Then the first experience, very good experience, is on the super performance of the system. I think in this 11 months, we never had a downtime, unplanned downtime. And from a technical perspective, I closely monitor the system, and the performance is super high. And we have never received any complaints from business that the system is not performing bad. I think it is a very good thumbs up on the super performance. The next point is, when we started this journey, as I mentioned, it was new to everyone. So we were really, I see, will it go good? Do we have the needful support? But then I think it has come as a surprise, as I mentioned, because it was a collaborative work with SAP and also with Implema. I think SAP was holding our hand from day one and supporting us on all the phases of the project. Having said that, even at the run phase, in this 1 year, I could see that SAP is in a proactive mode, helping us. Like, we have weekly meetings to see how things are working, the system performance. We discuss everything, and also we also have a monthly Raki, which is the SAP walks through on the system performance parameters, and they advise us what are the next steps. That's a very good collaborative work from SAP and also with Implema.
Very good. Yeah. And is there any key learnings from this?
So the important, at least the eye opener for myself was that, yes, SAP helps a lot, but however, it's still your project, right? So ensure that you are having focus on that, right? Ensure that you involve also, you still need your basis team, right? And that basis team could be internal or partner based, right? So because you will need that when doing the migration, right? So it's not that the SAP will do everything, right? Align all the and be upfront with that as well with SAP, align those things in the contract, right? Because more time you spend, the cost will go higher, right? So if you want to have as low as cost as possible, plan in advance, make sure you have a good team behind it, right? The other key learning was that when we initially when we went live, right, initial maintenance windows, which are monthly, right, was set to be 8 hours, right? And that was a miss on our side when we were reviewing the contract, right? However, and by our surprise as well, in great collaboration with SAP, we were able to reduce that in half time, right? And usually, it even shorter than that, right? And there is this flexibility with SAP, which, again, I just repeat one more time, surprising, right? When you're working with such a big company, right? Where every process is defined to the dot, right? That they are flexible and say, well, if we can do faster, we'll do faster, and then we will release the system to you guys, right? So that was really surprising, right, from my side. Venkat, do you have something?
Yeah, I like to add a couple of points here. The first point is, I think when people think that we are migrating SAP private cloud, they think, oh, we don't need the basis support anymore. Are we losing the basis role in-house or from the partners? That's really not true. Basis would still be required because when we say we are migrating SAP private cloud, the key activities which SAP would be performing is the database support, system operating support, release cycle support, governance, security, performance, sizing, capacity planning, system availability, integrations in theory. I think the other key basis activities which would still be owned by the company are the user administration authorization, transport management, client administration, job scheduling, peripheral management, and also system copy refresh. These would still need to be managed internally.
Yeah.
Right. And Peter, do you have any comments?
No, not really. I mean, Paulius and Venkat has said a lot. It was a really exciting project, and it's fun to see that something reach a successful end. So from that perspective, it's been a fun journey that just keeps on going.
Yeah, and as you also stated, Venkat, and you're still driving your cloud first strategy, and there is and pursuing that you will have everything in the cloud. And I think with that we will end this part of the webinar and open up for some questions and answers. And do we have any questions in the audience? We haven't seen anything that has come in, but we are here to answer your questions if there is anything. Nobody has a question. We will stay here a few minutes if you want to raise something, but otherwise you're also, of course, welcome to contact any of us separately outside this, and we can share some experiences and answer questions if there is no more questions for the webinar right now.
So there is a question, if we followed any type of security standards when doing this implementation. So we, what we did, we really relied on the standards established within the SAP, right? Again, it's their bread and butter, right? So they also, they are, we selected Microsoft as well, right, to host. So they have their own standards, right? But primarily was driven all by SAP. Again, also we don't have a large, internal cybersecurity team, so that's why we needed to rely on the partner itself.
Yeah, I think it was more on Azure security strategy, which was followed by SAP.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you stated in the beginning, that the security department there is bigger than your company.
Well, half
Even
of the size.
you have a big company.
Yes. I think we also get frequent notifications on SAP because in the backend it will not impact the system, but at the backend they always ensure that the system is well safeguarded, and they also do the regular patchings. That's key.
Yeah.
And yeah, as Katerina mentioned, feel free to contact, use this opportunity if you are planning to go to the cloud, right? When we were doing this, we kind of felt a bit alone, right? Of course, there was a partner to support and SAP, but it's always good to hear from someone who already did it, So yeah, so feel free to reach out.
Yes.
I agree. I echo with Paulus. I went to an SAP customer meet, and I was really surprised that it was only from a pharma company. It was only Fuji there representing, and I couldn't find any other pharma clients who migrated to SAP cloud at that point of time, private cloud at that point of time. Then I think I think people are getting there.
And there doesn't seem to be any more questions, so I think that we can end the webinar there. And I thank everyone very much for participating in this webinar. And as we said, if you have any further questions, you're welcome to contact us. And there will also be a recorded transcript of this webinar. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.